What's going on, everyone? It's Coach Zach, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We got the whiteboard, and so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do as best as I can to make a nice little drawing demonstration for you. I think visually it really works for me for learning, and I think this would be a great opportunity to kind of give you a little bit more of a visual idea of something that I coined the temple model, which is really the overarching newer idea that I've kind of come up with to explain the order of importance, but also more of a visual look on the method that has really helped me to overcome a lot of the transformational progress, if you will, over the last kind of 10 years, but really boiled down over the last 6 months. I've really been diving into ways to make this more comprehensible and understandable for everyday people, so that way you don't have to spend as much time as I did to learn this stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into it. This video is really just going to be an overview, and then I'm going to dive into each one a little bit more. Okay, so number one is we have our temple, and I usually call it the 3 pillars to success, but really I kind of view this as more of a temple now, right? And so you can kind of see that a little bit. Might be a little bit hard. I don't have the best video lighting, all that, but there's a temple, 3 sides, you know, triangle, basically, whatever. So anyways, off to a good start. So the first kind of part, our baseline of understanding is going to be this bottom part, and it's made up of 3 different things. And so before you can make any kind of transformation when it comes to your lifestyle, there's really kind of this important fundamental piece to know. That's going to be your baseline, and it goes with an acronym of IT. So I, and T. IT stands for, so we'll do 1 right here. So I is going to be for information. So I'll just put info for short. The second I is going to be implementation. Don't judge my spelling. And the last letter is a T, which is going to be for time. So those are the 3 things that make up the foundation of our temple to transformation, okay? And so I'm not going to dive into each one of these yet. I'm going to do that in the next videos. But just understand that before you can do any kind of transformation, the foundation is you need to have the right information, you need to know how to implement it, and it takes time to do that, okay? That's 1. Or the bottom foundation. The middle foundation is what you would do next, which is going to be met with M-E-S, mess. So once you know it, we can start to clean up the mess, and that's going to be this second portion, which M stands for movement, E stands for energy, and S is going to stand for support. So once you know the information, you know how to implement it, and you understand it's going to take time to change, then we can start to look at each of the different areas, which is going to be your movement. So movement to support whatever your goal is. So if it's to lose weight, if it's to build muscle, then you got to understand what kind of movement do I have to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to achieve that. Energy balance, so food. It's another term for food and diet. Diet is such a thrown around term. Really, energy is really more of the thing that we want to learn to understand, because it's all about how do we manipulate or take in the energy needed to support our goals, right? And so it's more of an energy balance, and how do we get that? Because there's a difference between clean eating or eating foods that are more balanced or macro friendly, if you know what those are. So there's big differences there, right? And you can achieve a lot of the same goals, you know, whether you focus more on a clean eating or more of just getting balanced nutrition in. And so it's really kind of this thing that I dive more deeply into in a different course, but kind of knowing and thinking of it in more of that term is really what I found to be more beneficial. Okay, and then this last part is going to be kind of the more controversial, but honestly, it was the piece that really drove it home for me. And this was kind of it was funny because I really kind of learned this piece and this piece first. And this kind of came together during this last couple months of my journey, because I went through the hardest year of my life for the most part to date. You know, one other year might have been harder, but really kind of this last thing is something I think is really missing in our culture, society today. And this is going to be the part that probably drives a lot of you away, maybe keeps some of you, draws you closer. But honestly, this last part is God. Okay? This can be different things. For me, God is Christ. I believe in Christianity. That's kind of the thing that I've been brought closer to over this last year. But I do truly believe that it can be any kind of spiritual aspect, and something that's bigger than you that drives something that's more important. You know, if you're always just dependent on yourself or other people, you're always going to be let down, and it's always going to be a cycle of ups and downs, failures, wins and losses. And so that's how it was for me. And it wasn't until I really truly found something bigger than myself to kind of hand this stuff over to is really where that shift came, where it just changed the whole dynamic of my transformation and my lifestyle, right? And so this is the most important piece, you know, but you got to kind of understand fundamentals first and know how to implement it. You got to have a support system, but then you have to have a reason bigger than people, places, or things. You got to have something that's more spiritual. For me, that's God. For you, that might be something else, but hopefully that helps. And in the next video, we're going to dive into each of these a little bit more. See you in the next one.